No.
Morning, Richard. How you doing?
Morning, Godfrey. I'm okay.
Yes, as I mentioned, I'd not changed the name because I've realised that in all the recordings we've done, it doesn't actually record the name label. I don't
After
think
all that,
after all that, changing it every week,
no, trying to be clever and funny.
and yeah, we failed on both counts as usual.
I don't know. Funny's such a, you know, personal interpretation, isn't it?
Yeah, I did.
I find funny, not many people do, so that's fine.
No, I saw a clip of a comedian actually, and someone shouted out, "You're meant to be a comedian," and he kind of went, "Well, I am one, but it's subjective. Some people find me funny, some people won't. It's out of my hands what
Do one.
tickles you, sort of thing."
Yeah,
So,
very true.
anyway, what have you been up to? Up to much? Purely, I just want to talk about my concert, which is why I'm asking you.
Well,
Pretend.
I haven't been to a concert. Tell me about your concert.
Oh, I went to a concert, Richard.
Is there?
It was full of teenagers again.
With kids.
Yeah, down with the kids, taking the teenagers to the O2 to see Tyler the Creator,
That's
which
good.
I think makes me
Well,
cool. Not
oh, wow,
sure.
well,
I think it does.
only
But
by association.
yeah, actually, all right. Decent show. Support acts were terrible. I
Ah,
I walked in both of those, listened for about 20 seconds, turned around
walk
and
in. Did you go?
you know those if you kind of go in, you've kind of got the tunnel bit, and then there's always a metal bar at the end where you turn into the seating bits. I got to the metal bar and I just stopped, looked down, and just went, "Nah," turned around and walked straight back out again. I was like, "I'm going to go have a pint outside on my own." So
And there is picture evidence of that.
there is picture evidence of that. Me gazing longingly out into the O2 venue.
Wondering what on earth you'd done.
What have I done again? But then the actual main act, Tyler, was actually okay. It's not my thing, but I can sit through a well put together, well choreographed kind of concert that the kids were absolutely loving. But I was with, we'll talk about data. Two of my son's friends had bought tickets in a different area, and they'd bought them in the
What's the bit?
standing bit, which was over 16s. And honestly, the two of them don't look older than 12. So literally hoiked out the queue. Got taken round though, and they said, "We'll just swap your tickets out for spare seats." So I was like, okay, they're not missing the concert, so that's not so bad. Got to the window, swapped them out. They got in the VIP section.
Oh.
I was like, how does that happen?
You do not go up to it and go, I'm too old to be in here, so can I go to the VIP section, please?
I want the disabled section with the big wide seats where I can actually relax a bit
Have a kip,
without being crushed by teenagers trying to dance to music.
music.
Uh, but to be fair, what I did enjoy, and this might sound weird, there was a lad in front of but there was a lad in front of me who was probably about 19, 20. He was having the time of his life at this concert. I think it must be like his biggest thing because he sang every word to every song.
Ah,
And I only saw him pick up a camera once in the entire sort of 2 hours.
how things used to be.
And he took about a 10-second video and he put it down again. And the rest of it, he was just in the moment having a great time. And I was like, you see that, and then you look around and everyone else is there with camera recording
Yeah.
hours worth of footage, and it's like, just enjoy yourselves. So, but we enjoy my
Back
yeah,
in the day when you used to go to concerts, if you took anything in your pockets, you normally ended up walking out without it in your pockets
yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
If you had probably hanging upside down, being carried across in the middle of a mosh pit somewhere.
Speaking of which, I'm going to Metallica next year,
Now we're
so
talking.
I did manage to get tickets for that up at
So
Hampton Park.
the chaperone, I'm available.
You're available to come to Glasgow that weekend?
I don't know.
I'm not going to tell you either. Just to make sure you're not available. So no, so that'd be good. Something different.
Whereas,
We looked at all the
rude.
venues, but Glasgow works for us because we can leave the dog with the in-laws.
Not Godfrey.
Yep. I'll go Mac Godfrey as the other
Not
half of
Godfrey.
MacDonald.
Works.
So yeah, so that's my musical interlude for this week.
Musical.
Yeah, hopefully next concert one of the other parents will take the kids and I don't have to sit through it, but that one, it wasn't too bad, that one. But anyway, we digress as usual, as always. This is normally a thing where people switch off. They're like, let's hear the update, and then once they get onto data, we'll turn it off
That's it.
and
So
stop
once
listening.
they actually get serious and stop twatting about, it's
Yeah,
actually a bit boring.
see what happens, or turning themselves into babies. I don't
That
know
went
what
down quite well though.
I'll do something different this week. Yeah, so this week it was going to be. I'm working on quite an interesting data project, and it's interesting from the perspective that, although from a technical perspective it's very technically challenging, understanding what needs to be done is actually relatively straightforward and simple. But you then have this massive issue of, do the end users understand the data, what they're doing with the data, why it's so important to input the correct data, how that flows from their level to the senior management level. And if you think of it as a pyramid sort of thing, with the data all being collated up, so that the chief exec sees a small view across everything, and then each of the services have a slightly wider view of their own service. But what it means for decision making, how they can change that, but also where the gaps are. So where they're looking at siloed data, are they only seeing half the story, and actually aren't seeing that there's a cliff edge that they're going to fall off further down the line because they're not looking at kind of the story that sits behind the numbers as well, which has always been my kind of pitch on a lot of the data stuff that we do, that numbers are great, look at your numbers, they're really important, but actually every number's got something that's happening to drive it behind it. And if you don't understand that, you don't really understand the numbers and what's happening, where they're going to. So it's an interesting project because I think it's going to end up being kind of 80% talking about the change that needs to occur rather than the technical bit, because although actually that's where the expenses and the cost is and everything else, when you bring the data specialists in, you say this is what we need to achieve, they all get that, and it's fairly self-explanatory. It might be technically difficult to do it and to extract all the data and put it into a data lake or something like that, to then make sure that as we're going up that kind of pyramid, the data is all coming from the same source, so everyone knows exactly what's happening, but we all understand what needs to be done.
It's always the same. Any platform's only ever as good as the people using it or the questions asked of it, right? So if you can have the fanciest, complex, most complex, wonderful looking out platform, dashboard, etc., in that you don't have to touch it, just goes away and does its thing. But if people just look at it and go, great, that's good, okay, but then what's it driving? What's coming out off of that? So I had a conversation earlier about this, and it's like, well, it's all well and good putting numbers in front of people, but you have to drive action. You have to drive a decision, and that is where a lot of it falls down. Whereas you have to go, this is how I said, like, you pushing information to people via, email, prescribing it, whatever, is one thing, but then you have to also give them access to go in and have a look at it, because that's where the insight, the questions, the iteration comes from.
Yeah.
And I think you can get stuck in this loop where you're just on receive all the time, so you don't do anything with it. Whereas actually, if you're going, actually, I can go in and have a look at that and play around with some filters or drill downs or whatever, you're getting a different picture. It's like, oh, okay, actually, I'm getting the information behind the number. And I think that's where that cultural change in a business has to be away from just receiving stuff and actually being able to go in and actually ask questions and look at it.
Do you think some of that, Richard, comes from, I could say, the old days, not that long ago, but a lot of reporting that's done is a static Excel spreadsheet
Yeah,
where it's almost just sent to you going, right, here's your number. You go,
or
brilliant,
management
let's go one way.
management pack. Yeah, it's like that monthly reporting pack, and you're just like, oh God, shoot me now. It's just like this is because it doesn't. All it does is people just go, as I said before, they walk in, they go, what do I need to know? And it's like, well, you just wasted your time. One and two, what actions are driving? What do I need to know? What decisions do I need to make? What's the insight? You just produce a report and go, okay, fantastic. But actually, it's almost like if you go to coaching with somebody, and you'll know this being a coach, but you don't immediately just give someone a solution. You get them to work out what the solution is, and then they go, actually, okay, I don't know. You can't give everybody everything because then it gets lost.
Although
it's
you
like,
laugh, I did a workshop at a council many years ago. This is going back 10 years or so, maybe not quite 10. And I was doing a workshop, and I kind of did that. And I knew what the answer was, and I was trying to get them to get there and figure it all out. So we went through quite a lot of steps, and it got to just after lunch, and they went, "You clearly know what the answer is. Can you just tell us so we can all finish and go home?" I was like, "Yeah, all right. There you go. That's what you need to do." And they went, "Brilliant." Signed it all off, and they probably signed about £250,000 worth of work off, but not for me, for the company I work
I
for.
was going to say, that explains a
Yeah,
lot.
definitely not for me.
I see
But
why you're.
yeah, it was interesting that they kind of went through the process, but then got to the point of going, actually, we can't even be bothered to work out what the problem and the answer is for ourselves. We just want you to come in and just tell us what it is.
Yeah.
And but then when
There's always two sides of this. There's always two
yeah,
sides of the
I
story where
find that then
people.
knocks on to when you are then implementing it and you are getting to it, that they're not really understanding
Hmm.
the why
And
behind
at the end of 3 months, are they still using it? No,
yeah.
probably not. And they've defaulted back to the original process because they've shortcutted the way to the solution. And it's like, well, actually, that doesn't really, it's that whole teach a man to fish thing, isn't it? Which where it's like, that's where the mindset shift has to be. It's not just about serving up numbers and serving up charts. It's like, well, what's the outcome of this? Where's the action? What are we looking to do? What's the ultimate outcome we're looking for? What information do we need to get to there? How often do we change this? How often do we review it? Do we look at it? How many cycles does it go through as an organization? Is it daily, weekly, monthly? How often do we need this? Is it real time? Do we need? This is where the decision comes from.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because again, we talk a lot about data jargon and how complex we make it. But in this example, I've just done an image of a car dashboard, and I've changed the dials, the rev counter and stuff. So one's a pie
Your
chart,
car,
and the other two are bar charts. Not my car. AI did it, Richard. It's very good these days. This AI thing that
is
people
it?
are talking about. So I got to just do the image, but that is almost like the ultimate in real time data, isn't it? It's you're driving your car. It's telling you exactly what speed you're doing. If you're going over 30 in a town, you're not sat there going, "I'll wait for my report on Monday to come in
Work out how many speed tickets I'm going to
before I
get.
do anything." Yeah, you're taking immediate action to say, "I need to slow down." When you leave town, you take immediate action. I need to speed
But
up.
what's the ultimate aim? Is to get to
Yeah,
the end destination or to avoid getting pinged for speed tickets.
yeah. And so people are really used to looking at information and data and making immediate decisions based on it until you tell them it's information and data and you need to make decisions on it. And then all of a sudden it becomes a thing.
It's
Whereas
reframing it, yeah.
driving's much more reactionary, isn't it? So this, I just know what I need to do because I've driven many times in a car. Therefore, I know what I'm being told. But as soon as that orange light comes on to tell me I'm out of fuel, I know I have to drive to a
I have
petrol
to go
station.
through all the carry on with my petrol cap
Yeah,
again.
works now. It's fine. Not had a problem since. But yeah, so I think a lot of it is getting people to understand that when we talk about data and what we're doing with it, we need to kind of change some of that language that we're using. Think of it more as everything you do. I talk about football tables. You look at the league table, which millions of people will look at every weekend, even updated in real time live.
They should not bottom anymore.
They're not bottom anymore, but it's just a spreadsheet. It's just a rows and columns spreadsheet. That's all it is. But no one ever thinks that.
Call it
They're not looking
table.
at that
It's a
thinking it.
table.
Yeah, it's an Excel spreadsheet. It's basically a big pivot table, isn't it, with information on it. And you're also not top, so if you want to mock,
No, but we're not in the league below though. So
no. Did you win a cup?
not yet. Yeah,
No.
Charity Shield, Community Shield.
Leicester have won that, mate. And
Remember,
down.
and we're playing the World Cup next month.
Yeah,
So.
I don't like this competition.
No, don't think so. So why you avoided it?
Yeah,
Tactically got relegated.
didn't like too much. It's just another big tournament.
I agree. I don't think they're too chuffed about going, to be honest.
And then you hear the president saying, "Oh, someone might bring in Ronaldo." It's like you're just doing this for money, in it. That's all it is. no interest in the actual football. But anyway, we digress. But yeah, I think it's interesting that the amount of work I think that will need to be done after the technical bit is done is huge.
But again, I'm not telling you how to run your project, but this almost has to happen at the beginning and during project.
Oh yeah,
As
yeah,
projects are iterative projects, where you don't go away for 3 months. I'm going to go build this now. I'll see you later. And then action sequence, right? And go, here you go.
there you go.
And they go, oh, the world's changed. Sorry. And it doesn't work. Why? You deliver a platform, but then someone goes, oh, we need to change that. We need to look at that. We had a pressing, need to be able to look at this metric and that metric. We haven't got that data. I'm sorry, we haven't put it in yet. Okay, I go and put that in. 3 months later, go away. There you go, there now. And it's like, oh, it's all changed again.
All changed.
It's a
like
complete
style project. That
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
isn't that why they brought
But
Agile in?
it's a bit of yeah, Scrum. But what it's always made me laugh, that analogy. Scrum, daily Scrum.
The Scrum.
I had a very different vision in my head about what it entailed. But what was I going to say? Yeah, it's just like you have to review data, and again, cliche data. Data, it's a business resource. You don't go into a factory every day and go, right, we need to put you on there and you on there and you on that thing today because we always need to get out. You don't go in and go, oh, I'll just do what you want. I don't care. You don't go to a logistics company and go, right, what we have to just walk in and go, oh, you take that lorry and just whatever's on there, just deliver it. Doesn't really matter. And that lorry, just leave the other 5 there. We're not going to bother using them. Or again, with staff, you don't go, oh, we've got all this calls coming through, and just go, we just answer what you can. It doesn't really matter, does it? And you just take a few hours off for all of you and come back. That's managing. That's a business resource. Data's the same, but it should be used in the same vein. Put to use. It's there in every single thing that you're doing. Use it, and that's where the disconnect comes in.
Absolutely, and I think some of the feedback on this one early on is that they kind of spend currently 80% of their time, I would describe it as fixing the data, and 20% analyzing, and they kind of want that reversed. And a lot of that comes from, I think, because a lot of the end users who are inputting the information into the systems don't really understand what's that doing and where's it going and how that drives services or performance or delivery. There's a little bit, it doesn't matter, put 6 on 5, it doesn't matter. But it does matter if that's then multiplied up by everyone else putting 6 instead of 5. And suddenly you think you're £500,000 in the black, and you're not, because everyone's just mistyped into the finance system something. It's that kind of piece around, you can put crap data in, but then we've got to spend months fixing the crap data before we can then use it. And by the time we've got to that point, whatever the data was telling us is out of date anyway. So there's no point really looking at it. So yeah, there is an education piece, but I think it's it will obviously be agile and alongside, but it was more to make the point that I think that as that technical bit is happening, the change bit is going to be that plus X, Y, and Z, and then the technical bits will keep coming back in at various points as things need updating and changing.
I think that's the key thing. Is it has to be viewed as a business resource.
Yeah.
That's the key phrase, because it is at the end of the day, isn't it? As you do use your description of, and in your personal life, you're using data as a resource all day long, all day long. So there's no difference. It is the same concept.
It's easy, and it's everything, isn't it? It's what am I going to watch on TV? I'm going to put the TV guide on. I'm going to flick through it. I'm going to go on Netflix, see what it recommends. I'm going to cook a recipe. It's all essentially data that you're turning into information. But yeah, I just view it as almost subconscious data, because it's normalized. It's just what you do and how you do stuff, and none of it is presented to you in that way. And I like the business resource analogy.
Right.
I think it's yours. I've written it down though, so I'm going to put it in a paper I'm writing.
You credit me, please.
Yeah, you'll never see the paper, so it doesn't matter. I'll definitely
Oh, well,
credit you, Richard. It's fine. Don't
thanks.
you worry. But yeah, but it is that, isn't it? And when we talk about AI and stuff, and not seeing it as AI, as seeing it as a resource to help you or to make you quicker, better, or anything like that at what you're doing, and viewing the AI tool almost as your co-pilot, your companion to help you do stuff. But you also need to look at the data in that way as well, because actually it's the data that drives a lot of that anyway, and we've covered that in previous pods. But
Don't view it as intimately as you do.
no, I've calmed down a little bit on the chats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've even been tempted away. I went on Claude the other day and had a little chat with Claude,
Oh, you floozy.
see what Claude was up to, and then well, then I threw it all into Perplexity, went full circle. I thought I'd test them all against each other, see which one was giving me the best answers,
Best answers or the right answers.
the answer I wanted.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
the
No, I put the same document in and asked it to kind of review and explain where it thought changes should be made or where it should be strengthened. And surprisingly, they weren't a million miles from each other. But it's funny when you take on and say, I've reviewed my document. This is where I think it's weak, and then you put it in the next and goes, "That's a great job." But actually, if you thought about doing X, Y, and Z, you're like, "Okay, see what you're saying that, but why didn't that one pick that up?"
wow.
And then you drop it
Well, I
into
had this. I was looking at getting some stats for some posts just as a kind of an overview, just to see what it came up with, and it came up with a load of statistics, and numbers and things, and I went, "Are you sure?" So I basically took it back and go, "How relevant are these? Can you give me some context?" And he's like, "Well, on reflection, maybe you're right, and these aren't the right, and maybe it's a bit old, these are outdated stuff." And I'm like, "Ooh." It never there's a big example of how to you don't just take it at its first glance. You have to validate it and make sure it's right.
yeah.
I wasn't saying it was wrong, but it was just out of date. And you're like, oh, you.
Well, I asked it how it did. A lot of people are talking about using AI for search now. Actually, it does it all through search. So I dropped a question in and just said, "Look, how do you do it? Do you take Google rankings? Do you scrape websites? What is it?" And it basically went, "Well, we've got a database of knowledge up to June 2024. That was the last time that was updated. So some of it is that, some of it is SEO rankings, some of it's other bits and stuff." And it's like, so if you are asking it a question, you have to be aware that its database
So
is nearly a year old. So anything that's moved in marketing or the world's markets or anything like that, it's not going to have that detailed level of information that sits behind that.
and it's very true. It's really interesting because these were very old stats going like 2018. So I
Yeah.
was like, are you comfortable with these? Well, maybe not. It went, and I'm like, well,
Well,
thanks for that.
don't give them to me then. Yeah, but and that's true of everything, isn't it? I think in a way, and I think we touched on this previously, where I said there was a housing benefit system I worked on when I worked at Westminster 25 odd years ago, and someone almost tried to send a check out for like £1 million, and it was
Themselves.
sadly not. It was just one of those errors where I think that something silly like they put the date of birth in the income field or something like that. So an easy-ish mistake.
Godfrey, 1 million.
Yeah, I wish. But luckily there were blockers on it anyway, so it wouldn't have gone out. But it was that knowledge that the number you're expecting to see should have been around £500. If you suddenly see a number that says £1 million, are you not looking at that going, I might have made a mistake here or something? Like you said with the AI, the stats come through and you're like, I'm not sure they're quite right. You still have to be able to challenge some of that. But it means you have to kind of understand the picture and go back to the story behind the numbers, what's driving those numbers, what's putting them where they are. And in that case, housing benefit, you're looking at what's the sum you do to get to the end point. And actually, a lot of assessors didn't know what the sum was because they'd never been taught how to do it manually. They'd been told this goes in this box, this goes in this box, this goes in this box. You hit enter, it gives you an N number. But actually, if you looked at it and went, okay, I know that I can't remember the exact formula, but it's like 65% of your income times the amount you pay in rent, and the difference is what you get. Something like that. So you kind of know in your head if someone earns 300 and the rent's 150, you can go, okay, I know roughly what you should be getting. So when it does throw up those oddities and those outlier numbers, you can look at it and go, right, I think that's wrong. And I think there's a lot of dangerous advice at the moment on the internet around AI and almost trusting it blindly to do your stuff, where I just don't think I don't think it's good enough to do that yet. It's definitely helpful, and I mean, I
Well,
use it.
this is where the trust comes in, and where you have to know the context of what you're trying to get to know that when it comes out with something, it doesn't look 100%.
Yeah,
You have to get a chat with it and go back and go, are you sure you're comfortable with it? And blah, 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 and go back. Add context. Where did you get that source from? Where did it come from? When is it? And it's just, you have to validate it still
yeah.
in that context when you're using it for information. You have to know what it is around what you're giving it, and don't just take his answer at carte blanche, because it won't give you a.
And I think that feeds back into what we're saying about things like HR reports, where if you're looking at an HR report in isolation, what you're seeing might be not bad, but if you're then looking at the wider picture about how your services are performing or changes and stuff like that, you might actually then see there's patterns within the HR data showing us that the number of sickness is going up, but only in one certain team and stuff like that. So actually, there's a problem in that team. But if you're just looking at it going, oh, our KPI is to keep it under 10%, and we're at 8.4, therefore I'm happy. It's another report that you go, brilliant, green, off we go, carry on, without actually understanding what's behind that and what's driving those numbers and what's happening in that area.
Yeah, context is everything.
Yeah. So yeah, as I say, this project's going to be interesting because I think the context, the story, the understanding data bit is actually a huge project in itself. The technical bit's going to be hard enough for them to do, but as I said, they understand what the challenge is and what they need to do. But yeah, them becoming a kind of data informed organization or business is a big jump.
It's not just about replacing what's already there. It's about actually, if you're looking at just automating something that already happens, that's fine. But I've always used it as an opportunity to change it, to improve. Don't just go, I now get the same information just faster. Okay, great. That's a bonus. It's an efficiency. But what are you doing with it? What are you then taking it further to that next level? Because you might as well use that opportunity to do it. Otherwise, you are literally saying the same thing.
This report used to take a month to produce. It now takes 3 days, but we still don't do anything with it once we've got it.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Great efficiency. So anyway, on that note, we should call it a day. We're nearly at the half hour. I have a dog that's desperate to go outside. So I
Does it
shall
need
go
a
for a stroll in the sun.
does it need a
Does he need
does
a
it need
what?
does it need a toilet?
No,
That's what
he,
to go.
he's just desperate to go out. There's probably a pigeon in the back garden. They're not allowed in the back garden if he's there. Anywhere else, you go out in the park, they can be, as we walked down the street the other day, there was one 4 foot in front of him, not a word. He just looks at it, walks off. Soon as they come into the garden, he goes absolutely nuts.
It's his domain.
It's his domain. You do not enter my garden if you're a pigeon. So it's a little bit annoying because they make quite a lot of noise when they flap, and he hears and just bolts out the house. One day he'll catch one, but it'll be a while yet. Yeah.
You sharp pigeon. What's his trigger word? Is it like cats?
No, I don't say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Don't say that. I'll mute you. I get overexcited. It's just the UALK. yeah, then he starts to go nuts. Only if I say it, luckily.
Damn it.
Right, mate.
That's
Lovely to talk to you. Lovely to catch up, and we shall speak soon.
Right.
Ta-ra.